Hello everyone, welcome to Learn the Lingo. My name is Matthew, and today we are going to learn the meanings of the names of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, as well as a few others. In Genesis chapter 17, God says to Abram, "Your name will no longer be Abram, Avram in Hebrew, but Abraham, or Avraham, for I will make you a father of a multitude of nations." Avram is generally understood to be from the words Av, which means father, and Ram, which means exalted. Avram, exalted father. The meaning of Avraham is uncertain, though. Some interpret it to be related to the phrase a father of a multitude, which is Avhamon. Avraham as the word Av, and Ham could be a shortened version of Hamon, multitude. However, this interpretation does not account for the letter Resh in the middle. Another interpretation that does is that since Raham is the Aramaic or Arabic equivalent of the Hebrew Ram, perhaps Raham was also used in ancient Hebrew to mean exalted. So Avraham would mean exalted father and perhaps be from Aramaic origin. If this interpretation is correct, we now wouldn't know what this name change is supposed to mean, since both Avram and Avraham would mean exalted father. This is a matter of much debate among scholars, and is a good topic to do further reading on if you're interested. The reason for the name change of Sarai to Sarah is also unclear. Sarah means princess or leader, but Sarai's meaning is not as clear. Some interpret it to mean my princess, and that this name change is taking Sarah from being one person's princess to a universal princess. But the problem with this interpretation is that in Hebrew, my princess should be Sarati, and so that translation doesn't seem to work. Some think Sarai is just a different form of the name Sarah. This interpretation again raises the question of what this name change is really about, but we can't know for sure. But a name that the Hebrew text explains very clearly is Isaac's, which is Yitzhak in Hebrew. Yitzhak means he laughs. In Genesis 17, God first tells Abraham that he and Sarah will have a son. When Abraham heard this, Vayitzhak, and he laughed. God then tells him to call the child Yitzhak. When God again tells Abraham that they will have a son in chapter 18, Sarah heard Vatzitzhak, and she laughed. When Yitzhak is born, Sarah says, "God has made me laugh. Everyone who hears Yitzhak will laugh with me." As you can see, the whole Hebrew story around Isaac's birth is told with the motif of his name Yitzhak, he laughs. In fact, the root Yitzhak is from, Tsari Chet Kuf, only appears 13 times in the Bible as a verb, and 9 of those times are around the story of Isaac. The verbs from this root that we've looked at so far have been in a form that makes the root mean laugh, but there is another form that makes the root mean something more like play around with or make jest. This usage of the root appears in Genesis 19, in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, which is told in the middle of the story of the birth of Isaac. Lot warns his son-in-laws to flee the city, but it says they thought he was mitzachek, playing a joke, which is from the same root as Yitzhak, but is in a different form which changes the root's meaning. This form also appears right after Isaac's birth, where Ishmael is mitzachek, jesting. Mitzachek appears once more in chapter 26, where it says that Isaac was mitzachek, playing around with Rebekah. Let's also look at the meaning of the name Ishmael, Abraham's son. The Lord's angel tells Hagar, Ishmael's mother, to give him that name because the Lord has heard about her suffering. Ishmael in Hebrew is Ishmael, which comes from the two words Ishma, hears, and El, God. Ishmael, God hears. He gets this name because God heard Hagar's suffering. In chapter 17, God does a wordplay on Ishmael's name while responding to Abraham's request to bless Ishmael. He says, Ul Yishmael shamaticha. As to Ishmael, which means God hears, I have heard you. In Genesis 25, Isaac has 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Esau was born reddish, with his whole body like a hairy garment. Therefore, Genesis says, he was named Esau, which probably means hairy. Esau was also called Edom, or Edom, because he sold Jacob his birthright for some of that Adom, which means red stuff. Edom is closely related to the word Adom, which means red. It just has a different vowel. When Jacob came out of the womb, he was holding onto Esau's heel. Heel is Akev in Hebrew, which is spelled very similarly to Yaakov, Jacob's Hebrew name. Yaakov is also related to the Hebrew word for supplanting. When Esau found out Jacob stole his blessing, he says, "Was he not rightly named Yaakov? He has supplanted me," Yaakoveni in Hebrew, these 2 times, comparing Jacob's name with the action of supplanting. The last name we're going to look at today is Israel, Israel in Hebrew. This name is made up of 2 parts, Yisra and El, which means God. Genesis 32 connects the first part of the name with the verb contends. You shall no longer be called Jacob, but Israel, for you have contended with God and men and have prevailed. You have contended in Hebrew is sarita, which can mean contend or have power. This verse could also be translated as, you have had power with God and men and have prevailed. Yisrael is often interpreted to mean contending with God, Yisrael, but many think it is better translated as God contends or God has power. And as a bonus for making it to the end of the video, here's an extra fun fact about Isaac. He actually has 2 names in Hebrew. He's almost always called Yitzhak, which comes from the root tsari chet kuf, but twice in the Bible he is called Yishak, which is from the root sin chet kuf. These roots sound very similar and also have closely related meanings. This second root with sin also means laughing, and is a more common way to say that in the Bible. So both Yitzhak and Yishak means he laughs, but Yitzhak is a much more common way to say the name. And that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. And if you want to learn more Hebrew, please consider subscribing to my channel and checking out some of my other videos. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.